Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English story. The sun was setting over the small village, casting a golden glow over the narrow streets. Children played with sticks and stones, while their parents chatted by their doorsteps. In the corner of the square, an old man named Mr. Sam sat on his favorite wooden bench, his cane resting against his knee. Mr. Sam was well known in the village. Though his back was slightly hunched with age, his eyes sparkled with wisdom, and his warm smile invited even the shyest of children to approach him. Tonight, a group of teenagers gathered around him, curious about a question one of them had asked earlier in the week. How can I be confident? Mr. Sam chuckled when the question was raised again. Confidence, my dear ones, he began, is not something you're born with. It's something you build, one step at a time. Let me tell you a story about my younger days. The shy young man. When I was your age, Mr. Sam said, leaning on his cane, I wasn't confident at all. I was shy, quiet, and terrified of speaking up in front of people. My father used to run a small shop, and he often asked me to help with customers. But I would hide in the back, pretending to organize the shelves because I was too nervous to talk to strangers. The teenagers giggled at the thought of Mr. Sam being shy. One day, he continued, my father said something that changed everything. He told me, confidence isn't about being fearless. It's about showing up, even when you're scared. That stuck with me, even though I didn't fully understand it at the time. Step 1. Start small. My first lesson in confidence came from a simple task. Mr. Sam said, my father gave me the job of greeting customers as they entered the shop. All I had to say was, good morning, and smile. It seems so easy. But for me, it was terrifying. I worried about what people would think of me. What if they didn't respond? What if I said it wrong? He paused, looking at the teenagers. Do you know what happened the first time I tried? They shook their heads, leaning in. I stuttered. My voice was so quiet the customer didn't even hear me. I was embarrassed, but my father smiled and said, you did it? Tomorrow will be easier. And he was right. The more I practiced, the easier it became. Soon, I didn't even think about it. I just greeted people naturally. That's the first lesson. My friends, start small and practice often. Step 2. Focus on strengths. Mr. Sam's face lit up as he recalled the next part of his journey. When I was a little older, I wanted to join a debate club, but I thought, who would want to listen to me? I'm not smart enough. My lack of confidence held me back for months until one of my teachers, Mrs. Andrews, pulled me aside. She said, you're a great storyteller. Use that skill in your debates. Don't try to be like everyone else. Focus on what makes you special. That advice changed everything. Instead of worrying about my weaknesses, I leaned into my strengths. He pointed his cane at one of the boys. Tell me, young man, what are you good at? The boy hesitated, then said, I'm good at drawing. Wonderful, Mr. Sam exclaimed. Use that confidence from your art to fuel other parts of your life. That's the second lesson. Focus on what you're good at, and let that build your belief in yourself. Step 3. Learn from failure. Mr. Sam said with a knowing smile. Now we come to failure. It's impossible to talk about confidence without mentioning it. Do you know how many times I failed before I succeeded? The teenagers shook their heads again. Too many to count, he said with a laugh. I remember the first time I tried to give a speech. My knees were shaking, my hands were sweaty, and I forgot half of what I wanted to say. I felt humiliated. But Mrs. Andrews told me something I've never forgotten. Some failure isn't the end, it's a step forward. Every mistake teaches you something valuable. He leaned forward, his voice soft but firm. Here's the truth. You'll never feel confident if you're afraid to fail. Embrace your mistakes, learn from them, and keep going. That's how you grow. Step 4. Fake it till you make it. The teenagers looked puzzled at his next lesson. This one sounds strange, doesn't it? Mister, Sam said with a chuckle. But it works. When I was young, I used to watch confident people and think, I wish I could be like them. Then one day, I decided to try something. I pretended I was confident, even when I wasn't. Do you know what happened? He asked. One of the girls guessed. People believed you were confident? Exactly, Mister, Sam said, smiling. And over time, I started to believe it myself. Confidence is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Even if you don't feel confident at first, act as if you do. Eventually, it will become real. Step 5. Surround yourself with support. Finally, Mister, Sam said, you can't underestimate the power of the people around you. I was lucky to have a father who encouraged me, a teacher who believed in me, and friends who cheered me on. Confidence doesn't grow in isolation. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not tear you down. He gestured to the group. Look around you. You're all here, asking questions and learning together. That's a great start. Support each other, and you'll go far. The turning point. The teenagers were silent for a moment, absorbing his words. Then one of them asked, Mister, Sam, when did you finally feel confident? He smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. Confidence isn't a destination, it's a journey. Even now, there are days when I doubt myself. But I've learned to trust the process. I show up, I focus on my strengths, I learn from my mistakes, and I remind myself that I'm capable. Confidence isn't about never feeling afraid, it's about moving forward anyway. The lesson. As the sky turned dark and stars began to appear, Mister. Sam looked at the young faces around him. Remember this, my friends. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about being yourself. Take small steps. Be patient with yourself. And celebrate every victory, no matter how small. Confidence will come. It just takes time. The teenagers thanked him, their hearts a little lighter and their minds full of possibilities. As they walked away, Mister. Sam leaned back on his bench, gazing at the stars. He knew they would find their way, just as he had. Part 2. The next evening, the teenagers returned to the square, eager to hear more from Mister. Some. They had thought about his words overnight, and while they felt inspired, Many of them still had questions. Could they really overcome their fears? Would confidence ever feel natural? Mr. Sam smiled as they gathered around him again. I see you've come back, he said warmly. I take it you're ready for the next part of the journey? The group nodded, their faces eager, but a little uncertain. Good, Mr. Sam said, tapping his cane lightly on the ground. Let's continue. Last night, we talked about the foundation of confidence. Starting small, focusing on strengths, learning from failure, acting confident, and surrounding yourself with support. Tonight, we'll go deeper into how to build that confidence and keep it growing. Are you ready? Step 6. Set realistic goals. Mr. Sam leaned forward, his voice steady. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to build confidence is setting goals that are too big, too fast. They want to go from being shy to giving a speech in front of hundreds of people overnight. But confidence doesn't work that way. It's built step by step. He looked at one of the teenagers, a boy named Alex, who had admitted to being nervous about speaking in class. Alex, tell me, what's one thing you're afraid to do? Alex hesitated, then said, I'm scared to answer questions in front of the whole class. That's a good goal, Mr. Sam said. But instead of jumping straight into it, break it down. Start by answering a question in a small group. Then try speaking in front of just your teacher. Each step will make the next one easier. He paused, letting his words sink in. Remember, confidence grows when you set yourself up for success. Don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. Step 7. Visualize success. Now, Mr. Sam continued, I want to tell you about a trick that helped me when I was learning to speak in public. Before every speech, I would sit quietly and close my eyes. I'd imagine myself standing tall, speaking clearly, and seeing the audience smile and nod. I'd picture everything going well. One of the girls, Mia, raised her hand. But what if it doesn't go well? Mr. Some chuckled. Good question, Mia. Visualizing success doesn't guarantee perfection, but it trains your mind to focus on positive outcomes instead of fear. When you imagine success often enough, you start to believe it's possible. And that belief is a powerful thing. He smiled at the group. Try it next time you're nervous. Close your eyes and see yourself succeeding. It won't erase the fear, but it will help you face it. Step 8. Practice self-compassion. Mr. Sam's tone softened as he shared his next lesson. Let me tell you something I wish I'd known when I was your age. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about being kind to yourself, even when you make mistakes. He glanced at a quiet girl named Lily, who often sat at the edge of the group. Lily, have you ever been hard on yourself after making a mistake? Lily nodded, her cheeks flushing. All the time, she admitted. I used to be the same way, Mr. Sam said. If I forgot a line during a speech or stumbled over my words, I'd beat myself up for days. But over time, I learned that being my own worst critic didn't help me. It only made things worse. He smiled gently. Confidence grows when you treat yourself like a friend. If a friend made a mistake, would you call them a failure? No. You'd encourage them to try again. Do the same for yourself. Step 9. Take care of yourself. Mister. Sam straightened his back slightly, his tone turning practical. Now, here's something many people overlook. Your confidence is tied to how you take care of yourself. When you're tired, hungry, or stressed, it's much harder to feel confident. He gestured to the group. Raise your hand if you've ever felt too nervous to speak because you didn't feel good physically. Several hands went up. That's because your body and mind are connected. Mister. Sami explained. Get enough sleep, eat well, and take breaks when you need them. Exercise can also help. It clears your mind and gives you energy. Confidence isn't just mental, it's physical too. Step 10. Celebrate small wins. Now, Mister, Sam said, his eyes twinkling. This is my favorite lesson. Too often, we wait for big achievements to feel proud of ourselves. But confidence grows when you celebrate the small wins along the way. He pointed to a boy named Ethan. Ethan, tell me about something small you've done recently that made you proud. Ethan thought for a moment, then said, I answered a question in class, even though I was nervous. That's wonderful, Mister, Sam said, clapping his hands. Did you celebrate it? Ethan shook his head. Well, let me tell you something. You should have. Every step forward, no matter how small, is worth celebrating. Whether it's speaking up in class, trying something new, or even just showing up when you're scared, acknowledge it. Confidence grows when you recognize your progress. The confidence jar. As the teenagers listened, Mister. Sam suddenly smiled and said, I have an idea for you. Let's create a confidence jar. What's that? One of the boys asked. It's simple, Mister. Sami explained. Every time you do something that makes you feel proud, no matter how small, write it down on a piece of paper and put it in the jar. Over time, you'll see just how much you've accomplished. And on days when you feel uncertain, you can read those notes to remind yourself of how far you've come. The teenagers nodded, excited by the idea, building a confident future as the stars began to twinkle in the sky. Mister. Sam leaned back on his bench, his voice filled with warmth. Confidence isn't about being the loudest person in the room or never feeling afraid. It's about showing up, trying your best, and believing that you're capable. It's a journey, not a destination. He looked at each teenager in turn. Start small. Be kind to yourself. Celebrate your progress. And remember, you're already stronger and braver than you think. Confidence isn't something you find, it's something you create. The group sat quietly, absorbing his words. One by one, they thanked him before heading home, their hearts lighter and their minds filled with hope. As the square grew quiet, Mr. Sam smiled to himself. He knew that confidence would take time for each of them, just as it had for him. But he also knew they were on the right path, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. A lesson in confidence. A few weeks later, the teenagers gathered once more in the square. But this time, their faces were different. There was a glow of excitement, a spark of determination that hadn't been there before. Alex raised his hand proudly and said, "Mr. Sam, I answered a question in front of the whole class this week. My voice was shaky, but I did it." Mia grinned. "I tried the visualization trick before my school play, and it worked. I wasn't perfect, but I didn't freeze like I thought I would." Even Lily, who had always been quiet, spoke up. "I joined a book club. I was scared to talk at first, but everyone was really kind. I'm actually looking forward to the next meeting." Mr. Sam listened to each story, his heart swelling with pride. He clapped his hands together and said, "You've all made incredible progress. Remember, confidence isn't about never feeling scared. It's about showing up despite the fear. You've all proven that you can do that." The teenagers beamed, their confidence growing stronger with each small victory. Mr. Sam looked at them one last time and said, "The world is full of opportunities waiting for you to take them. Keep building your confidence step by step. And never forget that the most important belief is the belief in yourself. No matter what challenges you face, you have the strength to rise above them." With those final words, Mr. Sam leaned back on his bench, watching the teenagers walk away, their heads held high and their futures shining bright. For him, it was the greatest reward, knowing he had helped plant the seeds of confidence in the next generation. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with colors of hope, Mr. Sam whispered to himself, "The greatest gift we can give is belief in ourselves and in each other." I'm so glad you spent this time with me. If you like the story, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Take care, and see you next time.